Now, yesterday we were telling you that the Pope is going to have a new document out that talks about climate change. He's going to say it's real, he's going to say it's man-made, and that we have a responsibility to take care of the earth. And that when some portions of earth use up all the resources, it has effects on everyone else. And if you don't care about that and you keep using extreme consumerism, is a word that apparently is in there, well, then it's going to have effects throughout the world, and so it'll lead to less crop yields in Africa, for example, lead to more hunger and the shifting of populations, which has enormous effects worldwide. And he said it is incumbent upon all of us to do the moral thing and to care for one another. Now, that last part sounds very Christian of him. Makes sense, right? All of this makes sense, but we said on yesterday's program after covering the story, oh, Republicans here in America, they're not going to like it. In fact, here, let me show you what I said yesterday on the program. After we go through this full thing where you will see conservatives will definitely turn on the Pope now in America. Mm-hmm. It's over.
Rick Santorum already has.
But it will go full bore. They will turn on the engines.
Traitor.
Yeah, and however they're going to, ironically, demonize the Pope. But who knows, maybe they'll do a Sinead O'Connor and they'll rip up his picture. Okay, but they will, this is now going to be war. Yeah. Because these are clearly progressive, rational decisions, and they hate that. They hate every part of that. And true to their nature, in under a day, in less than 24 hours, the attacks have begun. Now remember, these are the people who've been telling us our whole lives that their morality needs to be enshrined in our laws. That we need to have laws based on abortion, on birth control, on gay marriage, on all of these issues because of their faith. And their faith dictated for Catholics by the Pope in a lot of ways. And of course, they explain that the Pope is infallible. They've got excuses for when they don't agree with the Pope on that issue. But overall, we've been told our whole lives that this stuff is so paramount. What the Pope thinks, what the Catholic Church thinks, what the Vatican thinks is so important that it needs to be considered when we're writing our laws here in America. All of a sudden, they don't agree with the Pope, and here comes the full frontal assault.
I don't get economic policy from my bishops or my cardinals or from my Pope.
He doesn't want to be your grandfather's Pope. He wants to be a modern Pope. All he needs is dreadlocks and a dog with a bandana, and he could be on Occupy Wall Street.
I think he's very ill-informed, and he's ill-judged in doing this.
Unfortunately, the Pope has been inundated with green advisors.
As I don't like Bob Costas weighing in on guns, I hate the idea that the Pope is weighing in on this.
The Pope is basically being horribly ill-served.
But still, there's no record of Il Papa having studied meteorology or climatology or any of the related sciences.
Distance between church and state is rapidly vanishing when it comes to climate. You know, it's okay to co-opt religion to advance the climate agenda.
The most dangerous person on the planet is somebody who's seeking strange new respect from their adversaries.
I think the Pope is seriously, terribly misinformed. He's doing a terrible disservice to the entire Catholic theology. He is way, way out of line.
So we're supposed to take his assertions on faith.
Considering the popes in the past have put people to death on the by incinerating them, what the Pope did to Galileo, I don't subscribe to anything he says at this point.
He is a Malthusian. He is in bed with Malthusian.
So this guy sounds like a Marxist.
He has a Marxist background.
Well, actually, I think the Pope's irrelevant on this issue.
Oh, everyone's going to ride the Pope now. You know, isn't that wonderful? Well, the Pope ought to stay with his job and let us stay with ours.
Everybody's going to ride the Pope now. It sounds like you guys are riding the Pope. Malthusian. Ooh, wow, you got him, big guy. Marxist, but a Pope. Wait, separation of church and state. We've got conservatives talking about separation of church and state. You got a deal, man. Let's shake on it. I'll do that right now. And I love this barrage of hate and insults. And then let's go to Senator Inhofe one more time for the cherry on top, a little bit of irony about insults.
Jim knows this, and most of you probably do, but unless you've been in an elected position, you might not know it. If you don't have the truth on your side, and you don't have logic on your side, you do two things. You insult and you call names. This is what's going on, and that's always an indication you're winning when they start that. It really is. You can't let it bother you.
Oh, really? Interesting. When somebody starts calling you a Marxist and saying you incinerate people, perhaps you're not on the winning side. Indeed, indeed. And finally, Representative Paul Gosar, Republican of Arizona, says it will be a conundrum for him to have a conversation about it, referring to the Pope and climate change. No, wrong. It is a conundrum for you guys because you built your whole philosophy on how your church should rule our state. So now when your church agrees with progressives, all of a sudden, conundrum. Malthusian. He's with... Oh, that was fun, man. Malthusian. Even Greg Gutfeld's insults are unbearable.